The camera opens on a dimly lit diner off Route 66. Rain beats against the windows, thunder cracks in the distance. A young waitress, eyes wide with fear, grips a coffee pot so tightly her knuckles turn white. She leans toward a rugged man in a leather jacket, a Hell's Angel with a skull patch on his shoulder, and whispers, voice trembling. "He won't stop following me." The man looks up slowly, his eyes cold and calm. He sets his coffee down, stands up without a word, and what happens next will leave the entire diner, and everyone watching, speechless. Fade to black. Title appears on screen. Poor Waitress whispered to a Hell's Angel, what he did shocked everyone. Maya was only 22, and every day she told herself, just one more shift, then I'll move on. The diner wasn't much, cracked tiles, flickering neon lights, and the smell of burnt coffee that never seemed to fade, but it paid for the tiny room she rented behind the laundromat down the street. She smiled for the customers, but that smile was thin, the kind you wear to hide fear. Because for the last 2 weeks, a man had been following her. He wasn't loud or obvious. He just appeared, outside the diner window during her shifts, leaning against a lamppost. He showed up at her bus stop after midnight. Sometimes, she'd find a single cigarette but near her door, always the same brand he smoked. At first, she told herself it was coincidence. Then came the note. "You look pretty when you're scared." Her hands shook when she read it. She told her boss, but he only sighed and said, "Honey, we can't scare away paying customers unless they do something." So she worked. And watched. And pretended everything was fine. Then one stormy night, a group of bikers rolled in, loud engines, leather jackets, the infamous red and white patches of the Hell's Angels. Everyone stared. Even Maya froze. But the tallest of them, with gray streaks in his beard and a scar over his left eyebrow, gave her a polite nod and ordered black coffee. He didn't look cruel like the stories said. Just tired. His name, she learned later, was Rex. When she brought him his coffee, her eyes darted to the window, and her heart dropped. He was there again. The stalker. Standing across the street under a streetlight, rain dripping from his cap. She whispered, voice cracking, "He won't stop following me." Rex didn't move for a second. Then he set his cup down, the clink echoing like a warning bell. Slowly, he stood up, tall, calm, dangerous in the quiet way only men who've seen too much can be. He didn't ask questions. Didn't make a scene. He simply said, "Stay here, sweetheart." And walked out into the rain. The diner fell silent. Every eye turned toward the window. Through the fogged glass, Maya saw Rex walk up to the man, his massive frame blocking the light. The stalker smirked, but Rex didn't flinch. Words were exchanged, sharp, brief. Then Rex's hand shot out, grabbed the man by the collar, and slammed him against the lamppost. The man tried to pull something from his pocket, but Rex was faster. He twisted the guy's wrist, sent something, maybe a knife, clattering to the ground. A single shout, a warning, then the stalker was on his knees, drenched and defeated. Rex didn't hit him. Didn't even yell. He just leaned close and whispered something that made the man's face drain of color. Then Rex turned, walked back to the diner, and sat down like nothing had happened. When Maya came to refill his cup, her voice trembled. What did you say to him?" Rex took a sip and replied softly. "Told him if he ever comes near you again, the road won't be long enough for him to hide." And just like that, the stalker vanished from her life. But that was only the beginning. For the next few days, Maya couldn't stop thinking about him. The way he stepped in without hesitation, the calm in his voice, the weight of silent protection in his presence. She started to notice something else. Every night after closing, a motorcycle would rumble past the diner just as she locked up. At first, she thought it was coincidence. Then she realized, Rex was following her home. Not to invade. To protect. When she finally confronted him outside her building, he smiled faintly. "Old habits die hard," he said. "You remind me of someone." That's when he told her about his daughter, Lily. She was 23 when she disappeared. The police called it an unsolved case. Rex called it his failure. "She was a waitress too," he said quietly. "Sweet. Always helping everyone." Until one night, someone followed her home. Maya's heart ached. She understood now. Protecting her was his way of forgiving himself. Days turned into weeks. She found comfort knowing Rex was out there, a silent guardian with a roaring bike. But then, the past came knocking again. One night, the stalker returned. Not alone this time. Two men cornered Maya as she left work, demanding she apologize for what happened before. Panic surged through her. She screamed. Within seconds, headlights cut through the dark, Rex's Harley. He stopped inches from them, engine growling like thunder. The men froze. "You boys didn't learn the first time?" Rex's voice was a low growl. One of them swung a chain. "That was a mistake." In one swift move, Rex disarmed him, spun him around, and shoved him face first into the wall. The other bolted. But instead of anger, there was sorrow in Rex's eyes as he looked at Maya. "You shouldn't have to live in fear." Not like she did. She reached out, tears in her eyes, and whispered. "You didn't fail your daughter, Rex. You saved me." That night, the police finally arrested the stalker, thanks to Rex's evidence and his reputation that made even the toughest men listen. A month later, Maya packed her few belongings and left that small town. But before she did, she stopped by the diner one last time. On the counter, she left a note. "You showed me what real strength looks like. Not the kind that fights, but the kind that protects. Thank you for giving me my life back." When Rex found it, he smiled for the first time in years. He revved his Harley and looked at the horizon. Somewhere out there, his daughter was smiling too. The narrator's voice fades in over soft music. Sometimes, angels wear leather and ride Harleys. Sometimes, the toughest hearts carry the deepest scars. And sometimes, all it takes is one act of courage, to remind us that goodness still roars louder than fear.